Come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, your abilities, the color of your skin, or your eyes, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or how you speak, you are welcome here. You are welcome here whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes. Whether you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. This is a community of open minds, loving hearts, and willing hands. You are welcome here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. And as we gather this morning, we realize and acknowledge that we do so on the ancestral and current homelands of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, Ute, and other tribes. As Unitarian Universalists, we acknowledge the complex and violent history that involved and resulted in the stealing of these lands and the cultural and physical atrocities perpetuated against its peoples. We commit ourselves to undoing these harms, and we seek to authentically and honestly engage in the necessary work that will produce justice for those disenfranchised and that promotes healing for the whole of the earth and its peoples.
Good morning, beloveds. I am the Reverend Laura Young. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And it is so wonderful to see all of you here gathered in our sanctuary, as well as those who are gathered in our online audience. Maybe everyone can turn around really quick and just wave and say, hello, online people. We'll assume they are waving back from their various Zoom screens at home. I'd like to extend an especially warm welcome to any of you who are new to us, or perhaps you haven't been here over the summer, or perhaps for a time of season that you were not with us. I'm so glad that you are back. And I hope that you find friendship and joy in your time here this morning. It is my honor to welcome and introduce our speaker this morning, Liz Martin. Liz Martin was our Director of Religious Exploration for 6 years until she left to attend seminary in Florida at Georgia, sorry, it's close-ish. It's next door. She went to do seminary, and she has now graduated, and she is completing some of the final steps, some of the final hoops that are required to be a Unitarian Universalist minister. And so this morning, we are giving her an opportunity to be in our pulpit, to practice before she goes to see the Ministerial Fellowship Committee in September, and is probably cleared for ordination at that point. So we may have some more good news at the end of September. We trust that we will, Liz, and we'll be celebrating that along with her in September. So, and that's all. That's my only part today. Wow. Awesome.
Stand and sing number 1009 in the Teal Songbook. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
I breathe out love. We breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Now, if the really high voices come in on that other one, then peace. Breathe, breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Down to whisper. Breathe in, let us take a moment now to fully arrive in this space and welcome one another with joy. Just a minute or two to say hello to your neighbors or run around and hug people. That's what I'm going to do. So I invite you, as you're willing and able, to rise in body or spirit. And I'll invite Kari to come up and light our chalice. And we invite you to say our chalice lighting words, if you'd like, including those of you who have zoomed in. And of course, if you're anything like me, you have to do the actions. So, shall we, Kari?
Oh, yeah.
All right. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action. Thank you. That's not the first time we've done that together. Okay. So, I would like to invite, yes, exactly. The energy of action is my favorite part too. I'd like to invite all of the young and young at heart to come forward and sit up here in the front with me, if you'd like. I want y'all to know that my congregation in Atlanta still thinks it's hilarious that I go sit on the floor with the kids. None of the other adults do, right? They're missing out. Right, exactly. Who wants to be an adult? Okay, so my very first important part right now, I want y'all to just, everybody in there? Who we got? Cheese. Yay. And then, okay, we'll do one with everybody. Ready? No falling. All right, say cheese. Perfect. Needed one of those. All right. So, the story I wanted to share with you this morning is called The Invisible String. Have any of you heard of The Invisible String? Have you? Excellent. What? So you tug on the string that's connected to someone's heart, and then they know that you love them. That pretty much sums. Well, if it were, yes. If it were, okay, so if it were real string and it was attached to your heart, yes, that would be dangerous. But because it's invisible string, it doesn't physically tug on it, right? So as the story goes, there were two young men who were having two young children who were twins, who were having a good sleep on a very calm night, when suddenly, boom! Whoa, yeah, got your attention now, didn't I? Lightning, thunder, all kinds of horrible noises that made it sound like their whole house was going to blow over. And they ran to their mother, and they said, we want to stay close to you. We're scared. And Mom said, you know we're always together, no matter what, whether you're in my bed or not. And Liza said, but how can we be together when you're out here and we're all the way over there? And so she introduced them that this is how. I was about your age when my mommy first told me about the invisible string. I don't see any string, said Jeremy. Oh no, you don't have to see this invisible string. People who love each other are always connected by this special invisible string made of love. But if you can't see it, how do you know it's there? Well, even though you can't see it with your eyes, you can feel it in your heart. You are always connected to everyone you love. When you're at school and you miss me, your love travels all the way along the string until I feel it tug on my heart. Just like Mace mentioned, I can feel that love tugging on my heart. And when you tug it back, we can feel it in our hearts. And this is how, even if I were a submarine captain deep in the ocean, that invisible string just keeps going and going and going. Exactly. So there are strings coming out of me to everyone I love. And you know what? There's a whole lot of people in this room that I love. And I bet a whole lot of those people have a lot of people that they love until we are all connected in one great big invisible web. Yes, the entire world. Now, sometimes we forget that we've got that invisible string connecting us to everyone else. But because we love people, and they love people, and they love people, it travels all the way around the world. Do you see all of those people? Ooh, I'm not used to the lapel mic. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, because one of the things that helped me get through the last 4 years was the invisible string that I felt to here. You all helped me get through some tough stuff. Being in a new place and not knowing anyone, and suddenly having to stay in an apartment and do Zoominary. Zoominary is seminary on Zoom, which is not what I moved across the country to do. But what I wanted to share last with you about the invisible string is that I didn't just have an invisible string that tied me to all of you. I had some physical string that tied me to all of you. I don't know, anybody recognize this weaving? Few of you? Okay. So for those of you who don't recognize this weaving, it was from 2017 to 2019. This congregation, when we had intergenerational services, all ages services, we wrote messages on ribbon and wove them into this tapestry as we wove our community together. And after I left, someone kindly sent it to me. And so I've had this physical string reminder of all of you holding me. And I hope that, my hope for all of you right down here in this circle is that you can feel that invisible string. It can be tugging. And because there are people in this room that I love and they love you, we're connected too. Yeah, every one of you, even if I've never met you before, I'm connected to you with love. Now we are going to step into another piece of our time together with a ritual.
Let's see. Sometimes when you do certain things together with other people, it's really a really special experience that's sometimes hard to describe. We'll try.
So speaking of the love that ties us all together, today we are celebrating what is a fairly new tradition at South Valley, I believe, because it wasn't happening back when I left in 2019. And it's something that's fairly new in our wider UU world. It's called the Annual Blessing of the Backpacks. It originated as kind of a back-to-school ritual for students and teachers, but in true UU fashion, and maybe just because I'm a 7 on the Enneagram.
Oh, me too.
I think it's fun to extend this ritual to everyone. Doesn't everyone need a blessing on what they carry with them every day? Yeah. So if this is a new idea to you, don't fret. It's the first time I've been a part of doing it. And if you didn't bring a backpack or a bag with you today, that's A-okay. You can take that blessing home with you in your heart and along with a token to put on your bag. Also, whether you carry a backpack or a briefcase or a toolbox or just your phone, that's okay. Just use your translation skills when we say bag and backpack to include whatever it is that you carry with you in your everyday life.
So this ritual is called Blessing of the Bags and Backpacks, a litany This is by the Reverend Caitlin Cotter Koilberg, with some amendments just for us, just for you. Now is the moment when we bless these bags and backpacks, each of them unique, all of them welcome in this space, just as each of us are unique and our gathered diversity here is welcome. We also have these tags that we've made, and since we have small fingernails, we'll let you attach them to your backpack where you like later on. We have one for each person in this room to receive. And, right, because we're all still learning, right, in one way or another. We're all students of life. And so let us fill these bags and tags up with our blessings and our hopes and our loving commitment. Maybe if we all put our hands forward and blessing just like this up here. Yeah. And so we will speak into this room these blessings and invite you to add to them by saying blessings on these bags and backpacks in between our liturgy. So let's try that. Blessings on these bags and backpacks. Very good. Great. Thank you.
Excellent. May these bags and backpacks be sturdy and strong to last through the weeks and months of learning ahead, reminding us of our own strength, our own ability to carry what is heavy, whether it is grief or textbooks. May we remember as well that it is more than okay if someone helps us carry our bag or the things that weigh us down. We are capable, and we are here to help one another.
We say together, blessings on these bags and backpacks. Each day, as we carry these bags, let us fill them up not just with the material things we need to get through the day, knitting for our hands, pens and papers to help us remember what we are learning, snacks to nurture our bodies, but also less tangible, touchable things like our shared commitment to the values of interdependence and equity, transformation, pluralism, a big word we're going to talk about this year, generosity, and justice, all centered around love. Blessings on these bags and backpacks.
Each time we open these bags and backpacks, toolboxes, or phones, may we remember to keep our minds and our hearts open, to be willing to change as we encounter new information and new people and new situations. May we remember that part of how we love the world and our neighbors is by learning and growing and changing. May we be open as our bags open to doing things differently. Blessings on these bags and backpacks.
May the weight of these items remind us that we carry with us into each day not just our own courage and creativity and compassion, but also we carry with us the love and support of this religious community of learners and seekers. We are reminded that we are loved and we can do hard things. We are not alone. Blessings on these bags and backpacks.
When things get tough, when the road ahead seems extra muddy and rough, may we look at these bags and remember a moment to be present in our bodies. May we breathe in and breathe out and remember that when I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When we breathe in, we breathe in peace. When we breathe out, we breathe out love.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Thank you, my friends.
So much has happened. I don't know, it's such a joy to be in this space again. I'm so glad to be here with you in these walls, back in a place that you're going to hear a little bit more about as I speak a little bit today. I'll also tell you I'm a fan of short services, so this isn't going to be hugely long. 4 years. 4 years, let's see. It's August, let's see, July. So 4 years, 1.5 months since I've been up here on this stage. 4 years of a lot of learning and living and loss. I am positively overwhelmed and awestruck and humbled to think of all the things that have happened over the last 4 years, both in my life and in all of yours. The stories I have. I could talk to you for a week at least about my adventures in the South and all that I have learned from being there. And like I mentioned to the kids, even though I was gone from this physical space, I felt so connected to this community. And by extension, you, even if you haven't ever met me before today, because you are a part of this community. So whether you knew it or not, that invisible string included you, everyone here. And not only, like I mentioned to the kids, was I connected by the invisible string, but I kept this weaving right on the bookcase behind my desk. And sometimes when those Zoom classes got terribly overwhelming, or when one of my professors once again assumed that everyone in the room was a Trinitarian Protestant, I looked up at that weaving and remembered you and all of the parts of our lives we wove together as we created that tapestry. I remember that the very first time we did that was a water communion ceremony. We started with blue, some beautiful blue ribbon, in which we wrote our promises to conserve water, that precious resource. And I remember that when we blessed the animals, we wrote messages about the animals that had made an impact in our lives. When we celebrated our beloved dead around All Souls Day, we wrote their names in that web. We brought in all of that creation into our community and into our web. And when we celebrated my last Sunday here on June 30th, 2019, you all wrote well wishes on ribbon for me and for Reverend Bob as we left to go on our adventures, he in Albuquerque and me in Atlanta, and off to seminary. It seems like a small thing, but that tapestry and all it represented really kept me going at times I didn't know if I could keep going and persevere. This journey has been tough. Honestly, I'll tell you a silly thing. I thought that being a graduate student and going to seminary would be easier than being a DRE. Oh, was I wrong? So wrong. 3 years of graduate level classes, and a lot of them very much steeped in mainline Christianity and Trinitarianism and the Bible, which was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me because I was able to learn to really translate. I had only known my faith tradition that I was born into, which is LDS, and being a UU. And I couldn't speak mainstream Christianity. It's a completely different language. So I found myself translating from Mormonism to Christianity and now working to translate all these things I learned through a Christian lens into something that works in a pluralistic setting with people who aren't necessarily Christians. But I gotta tell you, that 3 years of classes was so lonely. I felt like I was a really strong, individual you know me if you know me, that I'm a strong personality. I thought, I will have no problem telling them what's what. Every time they assume there's only Christians in the room, I'll be like, No, actually it didn't work out that way at all. But what kept me going was looking at this tapestry. And later, when I did my clinical pastoral education, which basically means walking alongside people who are going through something tough or traumatic for a period, and then learning and reflecting on how you do that, and how you do that well, and how you deal with those things within yourself that get stirred up when traumatic and stressful things are happening. When I did this program, I spent half of my time working in a homeless outreach center in downtown Atlanta, across the street from the Capitol. And I did half of my hours, so there was 400 hours of service. So half of those hours I spent with people who were experiencing homelessness. The other half I spent in the trauma bay at a level 1 hospital that was the baby brother of the Grady Hospital, which is the famous big trauma hospital in Atlanta. And when things got really hard in those places, and let me promise you, I witnessed some really hard stuff, I would find a moment in myself and I would sing. I would not sing out loud. I would sing in my head. And I would sing that same song that we've already been singing in this service. Let me breathe in. Let me breathe in peace and love, and then pass that along to these people that I'm walking alongside. And if you've been around South Valley for a long time, you might know that this song had a particularly special connection for our youth group. There is a legendary story about how our youth group was attending General Assembly and was standing outside of the basically internment camps that were set up for people who had crossed the border. And as the story goes, one of our beloved youth started singing that song as all of the UUs were surrounding the camp. And every time I sang that in my head, it took me back to the feelings of pride and connectedness that I first felt here. And this connection I felt was so important as I was taking my first steps on this journey, especially the first 2 years of this 4-year journey. It enabled me to open my heart just a little bit wider when I was challenged or scared to do so. And then somewhere around year 2, something began to shift about that tether to y'all. I started to be able to not just reach out, but to send string out, to attach to more people. I was pretty determined that I was only going to stay in Atlanta for 3 years, and then I was out, right? Humidity, I'm allergic. I'm allergic to humidity, I'm allergic to mosquitoes, and those two things are very prevalent there. But I started realizing that I didn't just have to stretch out the string that you all were connected to me with, but that I could start making that string inside of me. And I started sharing that string out in different places, including the congregation I attend in Atlanta, which I have to note, ironically, is called Northwest UU. So my congregation in the South is called Northwest, and my congregation in the North is called South Valley. I really like that. It amuses me. But I started to open up to those folks in a way that I was pretty determined. I was temporary. I was going to be in. I was going to be out. Suddenly, having the ability to love even those new people and bring them in, now you are all connected through me to people in a women's prison where I served as a chaplain for a year. You're connected through me to the undergraduates at Emory, my interfaith council that meets once a week throughout the school year. You're connected through me to people who found themselves homeless on the streets of Atlanta and people who were enduring all kinds of trauma in the hospital. After studying a bit of theology in my Christian seminary, I think that some would say that string I'm talking about that connects all of us is God's love. And that by following my call to ministry, I am really just volunteering to be a vessel for that string, for that love to move out. Now, I'm not so sure I believe in God, but I do believe in love. And I also believe in spiders. And the reason I bring up spiders, I actually kind of love spiders as long as they stay where they're supposed to stay and don't come in my house. But the other thing that's really cool about spiders is that they make their own string, right? So I'd like to think that maybe what I'm doing isn't being a vessel for God's love, but maybe I'm being a spider of love. I don't know. What do you think? Does that work? Spider of love. I don't know if that actually works. But here's what I do know. You, all of you, South Valley, were the string, the invisible string that held me until I was able to grow into making my own string. And for that, I am so overwhelmingly grateful. Thank you. Thank you. And as my Northwest UU minister likes to say, I love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Amen, and blessed be.
Thank you, Liz. We love you. Zuminary, good times. This community, our church, and its many ministries are only made possible by the gifts of your time and talent and treasures. Many of you pledge monthly to support our work, and for this we are grateful. Your gifts help to ensure that we are able to live our values of love and justice in the wider world outside these walls. Part of our ministry at South Valley includes sharing our Sunday worship offerings with a charitable organization that aligns with our principles and values. This month we have partnered with Voices for Utah Children, an organization that advocates and advances policies and practices that are good for all of Utah's children. Voices for Utah Children is making a difference in our kids' lives by raising awareness, influencing policy, and uniting our community. And this organization was chosen by our young religious explorers at our Egg Hunt for Justice last spring. And so let us join our voices in blessing these gifts with the words in your order of service. And then I would invite a couple of folks who would be able to pass out our baskets. Thank you. And we say together, we are this church, we are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing right along. Gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. Gotta dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance right along. Gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. Laugh. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh right along. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. Cry. You gotta cry when the Spirit says cry. You gotta cry when the Spirit says cry. When the Spirit says cry, you gotta cry right along. You gotta cry when the Spirit says cry. Laugh. Gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You can never laugh too much. Gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh right along. Gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. Love. You gotta love where the Spirit says love. You gotta love when the Spirit says love. When the Spirit says love, you gotta love right along. Gotta love when the Spirit says love. Last time, sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing right along. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. Yeah, you gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. Oh, you gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. For all that we have received and all we have found the courage to give, may we be truly thankful. And may these gifts be a blessing to South Valley and to Voices for Utah Children.
So, one way in which I've grown up over the last 4 years is by doing lots of things that scare me. And one of those things that has always scared me is singing in front of people. And so I actually ended up joining a choir in Atlanta called the Atlanta Resistance Revival Choir. Yes, and one of the biggest honors and privileges in my life thus far was getting to sing at Ebenezer Baptist Church, MLK's home church. And so I can't let it go by without mentioning that this song comes from that choir and that tomorrow is the 60th anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech, which has been a huge part of my journey, is getting to know more about the civil rights movement and being in a place where it is so present every day. I think that's a gift. But anyway, so this is one of those things that I don't think anyone would have ever seen me do before I went. But I'm going to teach you this song that we sing in this choir. And the first part is really quite simple. The first two lines, it's you got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You got to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And then the next part is a kind of a call and response. And so I'll sing the first part and you'll sing the same thing back to me, okay? And if you'd like to stand as you're willing and able, and in body or in spirit, when we sing this is one of those where we really get into it. And it's a little bit uncomfortable, but you know what? It will feel good, I promise. Okay, here we go. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. 'Cause you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. The path is there. 'Cause you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. 'cause I'm scared too. But here I am, right next to you. 'Cause you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love. Thank you. Wow.
Extinguish our chalice. If you have a child who is on the playground right now, you may pick them up downstairs. This way it's downstairs and then out the door, and around down that way it's through the social hall and up a couple of stairs. There'll be someone around you who knows where it's at, but your children are on the playground. Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you.
Please stand as you are willing, body or spirit, and join us in our action. We do the actions at the end? All right, then. My favorite part. So join me in saying the words as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. We hold each other in our hearts until we meet again. May we leave this sacred space with the knowledge that we can be a catalyst for transformative change in the world. As we labor towards crafting a better and more just society, let us remember to be gentle with ourselves and others, understanding that this journey is arduous but essential. May our hearts be brimming with compassion and our actions rooted in genuine allyship as we move forward together. Go forth with courage, knowing that each step we take brings us closer to a world of healing and justice for all. May it be so, and blessed be.
Go in peace.